to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys for subscribing to my channel. If you are new to this channel, this is the first time of you coming across Stylish Naija YouTube channel, I would appreciate if you hit on the subscribe button and then hit on the bell also to get an update whenever I upload a new video. Okay, so in today's video I'm going to be doing something like a sew along video. This is for beginners. I'm going to be showing you how to sew a basic gown from the beginning to the end. Okay, so welcome back. We're going to start stitching now. So we're going to start with the front piece. Let's just keep the back piece on the side. So I'll show you how to stitch. We're going to start stitching from the down. So this is the down part of our. So you notice the neckline, I did not cut it out on the lining. So I'm going to use my machine to trace it out. So this is how I'm going to stitch it. I'm just going to stitch it on the straight line like this. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull it up a little bit like this. So I'm going to use about 1 inch. I'm just going to, so you see, I just bend it, fold it in with about 1 inch. So it is looking like this. And then I'm going to start stitching. So I'll stitch it from the right side. I just want it properly balanced. So from this side like this, I'm going to start stitching. So I'll stitch it to the end and then stitch this other side also, and then I'll show you how to do the neckline part. Okay, so I finished stitching both sides. So the remaining part now is the neckline. So when stitching, just make sure that it is well stretched out. Make sure that your fabric is lying straight. If it is bulky from this part, even when you turn it, it's going to be bulky. So you see every part is stretched out. Even though I'm going to be adding a collar, I'm still going to stitch around the neckline because I want it to be neat. So I'm just going to stitch like this. So I finished stitching out the neckline. So now I can cut out the neckline. And then after cutting, I'll turn it out and then iron it. So I'm going to, what I did here, I'm going to do to my back piece and then come back, we'll go back to the table. I'll show you how to join the side of the back and the front together. Okay, so you see I finished stitching. So here is the back piece and here is the front piece. So what I'm going to do now, before I add my dart, I'm going to take it back to my machine. I'm going to stitch. So you see everything is equal. I'm going to go and stitch. Remember the 1 inch that I added to the back piece for my zipper allowance. So I'm just going to stitch it down to this hemline and then bring it back to add the dart and then join the shoulders together. Okay, so I finished stitching the back piece. So I've joined it. So now we're going to add the dart to, so you see both the back and the front, you see both of them, they are equal. So that is why you need to measure properly. So for the dart, so I'm going to come to my under bust. So this is my under bust line. It's still obvious, a little bit obvious from. So I'll just mark it so you can see it. So that's my under bust line. That's where I'm going to be adding the dart. So for the dart, what I'm going to do, I'm going to come up by, so you could fold your fabric for you to get it properly. You could just fold your fabric like this. So with this, you get it perfectly well. So this is my under bust, this is my bust line, and then here's my waistline, and then my hip line. So I'm still going to be needing all of these lines, so it's better I add them now. So what you're going to do now, from the under bust line, I'm going to come to this center here. I'm going to mark my bust span. So for the bust span, I'm going to make use of 7 inches, which is 3.5. I'm just going to mark it to the waistline, but the dart is not going to be as long as this. I'm just using it as guide, you understand? So I'm going to do the same thing to this side also. I'm just trying to get my lines back here accurately well. Here's my hip line. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing. You measure your bust span from this point, which is 3.5. I'm just going to take it down to my waistline. So I'll mark it like this with a straight line. So I'm going to open this up now so you see what we have. So here's where I'm going to add my dart. So for this, I'm not going to be running my dart from the bust point line. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come from my waist, from my under bust line, I'm going to start 1 inch above. And then from my waistline, I'm going to come 1 inch above also. So at the end of the day, you see my dart is going to be about 5 inches or 6 inches thereabout. So I don't want the dart to be too long. You can actually make a dart that is as long as this, but I don't want that. So I think I should, okay? 7 inches is too much, so the 6 inches is just perfect. So the same thing I'm going to do to this part also. I'm going to use roughly 6 inches. It's really not up to 6 inches though. For my dart, you could do 5 inches, depends on how fitted. So on this part now, I'm just going to take it to my machine and stitch with half of an inch, just like this. I'll hold from this point to this point, and then I'll stitch it half of an inch like this. I'm just going to stitch it like this to this point. So I'll do the same thing to the back, and then after that I'm going to join my shoulder. So I'll join the shoulder together and then join this, and then I'll bring it back, and then let's shape out the side of our dress. Okay, so you see our dress. So I finished adding the dart, I've joined on the shoulder, so it's looking beautiful. So the next thing we're going to do now, we're going to shape our gown. So we're going to shape our gown. So I'm just trying to add those lines back on it. Now these are our bust line, under bust, waist, and then hip line. So all of your measurement, now that the dress is divided into two, is folded is into two, all of your measurements now you are going to be dividing into two. So you measure, you use your own applicable measurement, and then you divide it into two. Once you divide, you're just going to place it like this at the center. You see, I'm stretching it out a little bit more. And then your under bust measurement also, you divide it into two, and then you insert. And then your waist measurement, you divide also into two, and you add. So always stretch out the fabric so you get the measurement accurately well. And then the next measurement is our hip measurement. You divide into two, and then you insert your measurement on the line. And then for the down part, you determine how much slimness you want for the down part of your dress. So mine, I'm just going to reduce my hip measurement by 1. So you could do 2, and then you just come down with a straight line. So this part, I'm going to use a ruler. I want it very straight. Okay, so the next thing, what you are going to do, in order for you to sew this accurately well, you pin them together so the hemline of the back and the front, they are on the same point. And then you go ahead and stitch the side. So I'll just go ahead and do that now, and then bring it back and show you how it is looking like. Okay, so I finished joining the side, and then I fix the zip at the back. So you just fix the zip the regular way. The next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to cut out the collar for the neckline. So you see, like I told you, I wanted the neckline to be neat, so that's why I turned it out before cutting the collar. So in cutting the collar, here's what we are going to do. I'm just going to measure around the neckline like this. I'll take my tape like this, I'll measure. So I have about, plus the zipper allowance, I have about 19 inches. So 19 inches, what I'm going to do, the collar that I'm using is just very simple. I'm just going to cut it like a straight strap. Why I'm cutting it like a straight strap is because you are going to tie it at the back. So you are going to tie it to shape. So you really don't need to start shaping it to fit in. Just make a straight strap, you fix it around. So when you tie, you knot it to the way you want to. So I have 19 inches, and I want the strap, I want it very long at the back. So I'm going to do, if I want to double it, so it's going to be about, if I say let me just approximate it to 20 inches and then double it, it's going to be about 40 inches. So I think I'm going to make it about 45 inches. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the length of my organza. I think that would, let me just measure. I think that would serve me better. Yeah, so you see the length, so which is about 57 inches. That's just so perfect. So that's what I'm going to do. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm just going to fold it into two. and then I'm going to cut out. Depends on the length that I want. That's how wide I want it to be. So for this, the length, I don't want it to be too tight, to be too wide, because the neckline is already high. So I don't want it to really be too high. The owner of the dress said she does not want the neckline to be too high. So what we're going to do, I'm going to use about 2.5 inches here. So it's folded into 2.5 inches. So I'm going to cut it out straight, and then we would go and stitch it. So I'll show you how to stitch it and turn it. So let me just cut this out right now, and then we'll continue. Okay, there's something I'm going to do now. I just realized. So the down part of my bow, I want it to be bigger. I want this down part to be bold. So here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to increase the width like this. I'm going to increase the width. So the center part, we're going to trim on the center part. So this part now, we have about 4.5 inches, and then 4.5 inches. So we're going to use the 4.5 inches to cut, and then the center part, we're going to trim it to that 2.5 inches. So I hope you understand. So I'll just take it and go and iron it, because you see the fabric is just wavery. So let me iron it down to secure it. I've ironed it, so I folded it into two. So I'm going to measure 9 inches. You know, the neckline area is 19 inches. So I'm going to measure 9.5. So 9.5, yeah, that will work. So this is 9.5. So from this 9.5 now, I'm just going to, from this point, I'm going to mark 2.5 inches. So I'm just trying to reduce this part. That's this point like this now, to be 2.5 inches. So the neckline part will be a little bit smaller, while the other side will be big because of the bow. So I'm just going to give it, just shape it out like this. So at the end of the day, so you see what I have. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go and sew it and then turn it. I'll just trim this part a little bit. So I'll sew it, because it is, you know, organza can be irritating on the skin. So what I'll do, I'll sew it and turn it to hide all of these sharp edges inside. Okay, so you see I finished turning it. So here's what I'm going to do now. In order for me to stitch this properly, what you're going to do, you're going to take the center of your piece like this. So is the center. So I have an opening here. So that was how I was able to turn out my neckline. So I'll come to the center of my neckline from the zipper point like this. I'll mark. I'm just putting in a mark here with my chalk, and then I'm going to take this now. I'm going to stitch it. This is the center of my piece. So I'm going to stitch it from this point like this to this end of the neckline part, and then I'll do the same thing on this side. I'll stitch it to this end of this neckline part, and then my zipper head, I'm going to tuck it in, and then I'll just tuck it in like this and then stitch. And then after stitching, this part is going to be standing up like this. So I'll just do that now. Okay, so you could see, so I finished fixing the collar on the neckline, and when she tried it, it was really beautiful. So you see the back. So here is how the back is going to look like. So once you put it on, you're just going to tie it. However, if you want yours to be longer, you can tie it more. So the next thing, the only thing that is remaining is for me to fix the sleeve. So for the sleeve, I'm not going to be showing the sleeve, so you could put any sleeve of your choice. So the real essence of this video is for you to know how to line, how to do full lining on your gown. So I've been getting the request for a long time, so thank you so much. I cannot put it on my mannequin because she's a size, this is a size small. So thank you so much. If you find this video helpful, I will appreciate if you will hit on the like button to make me know you appreciate what I did. So thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video.